What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
This is Conversations with the Crawlers. We have conversations about faith, family, relationships, and you're here because we do recaps, reviews of some of our favorite shows. Y'all always here. So this one is all about Ready to Love. I know we missed last week. Just computer issues. We
stretch your hands towards our computer.
Hey.
Woo.
All right.
Help us.
So that's part of the reason we're live. But also, listen, we're coming to the time where there's a lot happening.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to make some apologies just on some stuff that I'm hearing, seeing, what have you.
Who would you be apologizing to?
Y'all call him a racerhead. I might have to apologize to Blake, but we'll get into that here in a moment because some of y'all already know the news. Y'all still scoped it out. But listen, make sure you're sharing. Make sure you're liking. Make sure that you are in the comments because we're talking live right now. So for those of you that are on live with us, make sure you're liking, make sure you're sharing, and be in the comments so we can hear your comments, your thoughts, what you're thinking, because it's starting to get a little crazy around these Ready to Love streets. So I'll start with my potential apology.
Yeah, what's this apology about?
So one thing about this channel, y'all probably know, we don't get into a whole lot of the, for lack of a better term, gossip, right? We don't get into a lot of the everything that's been happening behind the scenes. We don't get into watching everybody's lives and picking that apart. We are fans of the show, so we watch the show as fans.
And
we recap. If there's something that becomes very prevalent, then we'll probably address it and talk about it. But in the YouTube streets this week, there was a lot going on regarding Jeffrey. And some of y'all might have seen it, might have known it. But Jeffrey and Simone of Ready to Love Houston seemed to get into it. And Simone came with them receipts.
She sure did.
Simone came with them CVS style receipts. She was just breaking it down like, hey, this is what it is. And so listen, I've tried to defend Jeffrey in the beginning because I thought maybe, just some things we were seeing from Blake was just like, Tarsha was like, nah, she ain't feeling Jeffrey.
I wasn't feeling her.
So I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but after the receipts from Simone, and just as we've seen Jeffrey move and some things that are just like they don't make sense, right? You can't. You have no one that can talk to you your past in relationships. You have no one, not one person. So there are things that I was like, okay. So then when Simone brought her receipts, I was like, now, am I absolving Blake 100%? No. There's still some things that with Blake that are like, but in this whole thing between Blake and Jeffrey, I don't know that I really lean towards Jeffrey. I lean towards giving Blake the benefit of the doubt in that situation. But y'all let me know. So this is my part apology to Blake.
You were leaning too much to the left.
I was getting him a little too much. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay. He seems to be doing well with Sue-Ann. Okay. There's still some things that's like, okay, but that's just how it is. All right.
Okay. I want to get into some things that a lot of times people don't talk about.
Okay.
When they go on these go-away trips. Who is riding with who?
Yeah, because there's some things you can find out from who riding with who.
Yeah, because Morgan and Jeffrey were riding together.
Toxic twins. Okay.
And so I know Morgan was like really getting Jeffrey's back when it came to Blake, almost kind of like defending her side.
Right.
So, okay, I was like, okay.
So that partly explains why Morgan felt the need and felt justified and validated in how she spoke to Blake in that whole scene. Because we were like, it can't seem to come out of nowhere.
Seemed to come out of nowhere.
Now we kind of understand it.
So now they're riding together. It's like, okay, that makes sense because, she was backing her up. Cynthia and Andre, Mercedes and Mark Anthony
were riding in the back seat.
They were together. So it's like, okay, I can see that. That makes sense. Then London, Anthony and Tony, they rode together.
Yep.
So even though Tony and London got a triangle going on of love, they seem to be cool boys. Enough to be, riding together.
Until Tony get a little Henny in them.
Until you get a little Henny in them.
So.
A little Henny.
And Tony get a little Henny, it changes up. We'll talk about that.
Right. So they end up in the middle of the swamp.
Now, here's the other thing that you have to look really closely. I don't think Sue-Ann or Sue and Blake rode up together.
See, I thought they rode together because I put a question mark. I think they came together, but they just didn't record anything.
Well, they didn't record anything because we didn't see their car. But the reason I say I don't think they rode up together is because if you look at when they're all like gathering by the alligators and crocodiles and whatnot, you see Blake there, but you don't see Sue-Ann there until later on. So you see some scenes where, because at first I was like, where's Sue-Ann? Right.
Okay.
So that's a good point, Drinka, is that the producers could have set that ride up. It's possible too that they could have been like, y'all need to ride together so we can see if we can capture any footage. It's possible. But I don't think that Sue-Ann and Blake rode together. And then who else is still coming up there? Cynthia.
Yeah, they came together. Cynthia.
That's right. Cynthia was on there. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting to lose track of who all is still there. So
right. So that's why I put a question mark between them. It's like, did they come together and they just didn't film?
Yeah.
But since you were looking at the footage, you didn't see her. Maybe she had to come up a little bit later.
Possible.
But she was there when they got to the house.
Well, she was there. She was there when they all did get on the boat.
Right.
But I'm talking about the early scenes where you see kind of folks walking up.
Gotcha. Blake is by himself.
Blake is by himself. You don't see Sue-Ann until later on when they're about to get on the boat with Tommy.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Sounds good.
One thing that, as far as the conversation with Jeffrey and Morgan, was they were both like, we have two men that we're interested in, but they're completely opposite. One is what you want, one is what you need.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So
no biggie there.
Nothing there. And then Anthony is talking about his multiple connections, because Anthony has come to be kind of like
he popped out at the end, right?
Yeah.
Because at first he was just real low key under the radar.
It was like he didn't film at all any dates. Now all of a sudden he's like on everybody's list.
Right. So I think him having this weekend is going to probably work out a lot better for him.
Yeah.
He get to hang out with the ladies and kind of really feel out his connection with Sue-Ann.
Yeah. So, yeah. So then they all get there. Well, they all get on the boat, right? The airboat, which cool ride.
I guess in the middle of the swamp.
I'm not doing the swamp. Sorry.
I don't
Mm-mm.
like outdoors like
Nah.
that. Like that. Now I'll eat outdoors. I'll do a patio. But when you start seeing alligators, crocodiles, they're all the same to me. I know they're not, but when I start seeing animals coming out of the water, like
And they can sneak up on you too because
no,
I don't do
no.
that. So anyway, but as they're getting on it, Tony basically, or not Tony, but Morgan sits on the thing, and Linda's like, "Hey."
He right there, boy.
He like
He's trying to make that connect. Look, that's his only connection.
That is his only connection.
So if I want to stay on the show,
tried to kiss Marcia, and she was not having it. He asked Mercedes. She was like, "We friends."
Look, if I want to stay on the show, I'm going to definitely make sure I'm keeping connected with my connection.
At the hip.
He said,
"Look, me and my shadow."
See, that was what Tony was saying.
Yeah.
So they get there, they get dinner, lunch, whatever they got.
Everybody run for their rooms.
Right. So by this time, Tony's sitting down. Mm-hmm. He asks Morgan to come and sit beside him, right? Mm-hmm. We see this scene. And then here comes.
Well, before that.
What?
Lyndon does say that everything's at stake with Morgan, right?
Oh.
And then they play pool for Morgan's honor.
Oh, yes.
Right?
I almost forgot about that.
So Lyndon was like, "Hey, I think Tony a little drunk, so he might can play pool, but he a little drunk, so he ain't gonna be able to do it well. Let's play for the honor." And Tony's like, "Let's just play for whose bed she's sleeping in."
I'm like, dude, for real?
So and Mercedes is in the background egging them on. She's like, "Go ahead, yeah."
She on the bike.
Needless to say, Tony won.
Yeah, because Morgan arrives and she's like, "What y'all doing?" She's like, "Okay, they're gonna get along while I'm in the process, right?" Because that's the only thing when you're at the house and everybody's together, you're seeing how well they're connecting with their connections.
Right.
And Morgan finds out y'all playing pool over me, and whose room I'm gonna be in.
Yeah. So real quick before I forget, first of all, if you haven't liked it already, make sure you hit the like button. But then after this one ends, don't go too far from your computer, from your laptop, whatever, because we're going to be probably about 20 minutes after this one ends. We're going to probably do a recap of Put a Ring on It because that season's back as well. So make sure you do that. Mercedes does talk about she wants to be intentional this weekend because she's got her connections.
Yeah.
Sue-Ann and Blake seem to be sharing a room.
Bunk beds. They end up with bunk beds.
Hey.
I know it don't matter, but it does matter. It matters, it don't matter.
It does. It does. It does, yes. Because we ain't got bunk beds in our room.
Well, okay, let's keep it moving.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving.
All right. Andre and Jeffrey sneak away for a bit. But then Jeffrey does meet up with Mark Anthony, and she says it's getting weird for her because, for her with two men at the same time.
It don't sound like she's having a hard time because she's kissing up on one.
Well, it don't sound like it's new to her because if you listen to what Simone said.
I ain't going there.
All right. So.
I ain't going there.
All right. So anyway, Andre comes in with this feather in his head. First of all, can we listen? Y'all let us know. Because I'm trying hard not to laugh at old boy. I'm trying. But the hair,
the leaf, I'm like, okay, I got used to the bun and the hair out in the back, but then you stick this gold leaf in your head, and I'm concerned.
But he was on Forbes.
I bet you ain't have a leaf in his head.
He might have because he was in Forbes.
I don't think so. But so I don't know if he feels he wants to be creative. Hey
Karen.
I don't know if he just wants to be creative and that's the way he expressed himself is through his hair. So okay, let's keep going. Let's keep
Yeah.
he's just expressing.
I'm gonna ask the ladies. Do y'all find that attractive, innovative, creative? Do y'all
creative?
I'm just saying because maybe it's just I'm a little old school. My dad's generation, it was the fro, it was what have you. Who said, I imagine the feather was a show of respect for his indigenous heritage.
Oh, I'm glad you caught that, Kenya, because I got lost because the feather, it came out before they had the conversation at the table.
Yeah, Kenya, I'll say okay, but I don't know. Karen and
said
no.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'll just
like no,
because I'm looking at like
for it.
The feather is just like,
you know, he might like coming to America, put berries in his hair, juice berries, and make it soft.
But the berries you smell, they impact it. He don't have, chicken feathers sticking out his head. What is that?
It's chicken feather.
Chicken feathers, eagle feathers, tail feathers. I don't care what it is.
I'm gonna let Kenya that he's paying homage.
Right. Kenya, we'll give you okay for that. Okay. If that's, I'm not saying that that's what it is, but if that's
maybe what I'm telling you, that maybe
that's his explanation.
His creative side. I would rather him, mention that, like, and as I put my feather in today.
But what would explain the other stuff?
The bun,
the little ducktail that was hanging down from his head. Because even if y'all remember, even 3 Chainz was like, you mean to do with the mullet or whatever it was?
3 Chainz.
3 Chainz. 3 Chainz. Stacey, yes, the hair looks ridiculous.
Stacey said it.
Now that's why I put the quote up. So yeah. Tony does talk to Drake and says the hair is distracting. Yeah, I agree. The shag.
Too. Especially when he had the feather in. That's when I was trying to focus on this conversation. My hair was drawn.
But here's the thing. I know one of the brothers has got to be joning him too. I'm sorry. If somebody was there and I'm like, bro, what's up with the feather? What's up with the feather? I'm sure Tony or even Blake or somebody was like, bro, what's up with the feather?
They probably did. Like,
yeah,
you cool and all, but his hair, man. What are we saying?
All right. So then Tony says that Lyndon is hounding Morgan. Because they were that's where they were sitting down.
Yeah, they had dinner and he sits down first and he tells Morgan.
He's like, Morgan, get over here and sit down. Sit.
Okay, I'm done.
That's basically what he was like, get up here.
And then Lyndon follows.
Lyndon's like, okay.
Lyndon? Is it Lyndon?
It's Lyndon.
Lyndon follows. And Tony is hot.
Tony like, I told you to come over here. I ain't tell your shadow to come. I ain't tell Ill Will to come. He called him Ill Will.
Ill Will. And so he gets up. Like,
I ain't tell COVID-19 92 to come over.
He leaves. Like, and she goes out there following him. At first, I thought she was kind of like joking, like she was kind of, just kind of playing and messing with him. But he was like really upset because, and I'm like, dude, if you're so confident, why are we feeling jealous or upset because he's sitting there? It's no big deal.
Well, see, here's the other thing, because I think Tony is one that I've heard refer to himself as an alpha male, right?
Yes.
So first of all,
first
of all, my thoughts are that many times when, and I'm not saying this of everyone, right? But many times when people say alpha male, it's almost code word for toxic to me.
Interesting.
It's almost code word for toxic.
Interesting.
And then if you are an alpha male, in my opinion, you don't have to announce it to everyone.
I agree.
If you got to announce what you are to people, it invalidates it to me. If I got to keep telling you that this is who I am, right? There you go. Exactly, Stacey. Classic sign of insecurity. If you have to say you're an alpha, you aren't. Right? You're boastful, yeah. You're aggressive, yeah. But the fact that you keep having to say it, and you keep having to, in some ways, feel like you have to prove it,
Mm-hmm.
and then prove it in light of someone else. So he's saying that he's alpha, but I'm sorry, I don't see it. I see him just as being toxic. I think his version of alpha is toxic. So Lyndon won this entire trip. Yeah, Lyndon might come out the MVP of this weekend.
Yeah.
He was getting under Tony's skin, and Lyndon was just his natural fun self. Yep, unbothered. Much. Yep, I agree. I agree.
It's a lot. That's definitely more attractive.
Yeah, I think we'll talk more about it, but I think that Lyndon played the game well.
Oh yeah,
and won.
Oh yeah,
he winning. Well, I'll say
you say it
yeah, because I don't know if he really winning, but okay. So she says that he needs to act like he got some home training,
right?
And he was like, I ain't like that. You're like, I didn't think I was acting like a butthole, but for her to tell me I need home training.
Yeah, I feel some kind of way about that. I'm like, dude, you need to calm down and stop drinking. Like, sober up. Because he getting all this liquid courage to feel like he's gonna show out and bang on his chest during this weekend. It's not working. Yeah, it's not working. So
Anthony meets up with Sue-Ann.
Yeah, he's checking in, right? He's trying to figure out, okay, do we still have a connection?
Is it possible?
You know, Sue-Ann, what you saying? Are we communicating? And Sue-Ann was like, you were on snooze.
She like, you fumbled. You fumbled the ball. You were on the 5-yard line and you fumbled.
And you lost it. It's over.
You just dropped the ball.
Right.
Morgan. Yeah. Morgan was talking reckless. Morgan can.
Push some buttons.
She can push some buttons. Yes.
Yes.
So basically Sue-Ann's like, you had the chance. Blake shot his shot. And he was very open and very intentional about it. So
yep.
Yeah. That's why the graphic for this is Mr. and Mrs. Toxic, because I almost think they're a match made for each other. I just think that they might be perfect for each other.
As we're moving on, we see what happens next. That's when
Andre meets with Cynthia.
Yes.
And she's like, she has reservations with him. She does not open up with him the way she does with Anthony.
Right.
Which I think I like Anthony and her as a better connection than her and Andre.
Yeah. Because Andre makes the comment, I don't know if people remember this, saying Jeffrey was ready to marry his wifey. And then Cynthia is the strong, independent woman.
Because if you remember last week when they were meeting the friends, his issue with Cynthia was that she was too quick to answer. She had an answer for the questions.
Right.
That's kind of what you want, bruh.
You want someone that is understanding, mature, and ready to move. Like, I'm ready to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah. I think that between the two, I think Cynthia is wifey material.
Right.
I'll leave.
Right.
I'll leave.
Yes.
What's her name alone?
Yes.
I'll leave Jeffrey alone.
Yes.
I'll leave that to her and Simone to figure out.
Right. Okay.
Listen. So, but also, this is what Andre said. I don't know if y'all caught this. He said he may talk shallow a lot, but he has some depth. He may talk shallow a lot, but I got some depth.
If you got depth, then you're gonna be deep.
You're gonna be deep.
It's just, there
are times, yes, there are times where we just have really just shallow conversation, right? But there are times where we're like, look, when we first started dating, we didn't talk shallow.
No,
almost from the beginning, we're like, okay, what do you want to do out of life? Where are you going?
Intention?
What's your intentions?
Yes.
What's this about? What have you? And then once we kind of saw that this could be something, we would have some shallow conversations. But if you starting off in a situation where the goal is you saying you're ready to find love, and the person is saying you talking shallow, and you're like, yeah, I talk shallow, but I can be deep.
Nah, bro.
Come with your best stuff, bro.
Bring it out early, especially you're in this process. You want to make those connections, right?
Right. Come with the stuff that you can.
Right. Yeah, she heard it too. She heard it.
Yes,
yes.
Jeffrey is proving that some men eat that fake feminine energy up. I've heard her, haven't heard her have any wifey level conversations. You're absolutely on point there.
Exactly.
Absolutely on point.
Exactly.
The whole baby voice thing. When you hear her natural voice versus her baby voice.
Oh, you heard her natural voice?
Well, yeah, because when she was trying to go off on Simone, she used her natural voice.
Oh, she used a natural voice.
She used her grown woman voice.
Oh, she was trying.
But then when Simone clapped back with the lawyer talk. But then on Ready Love, we see her having the baby talk. And then I don't know if y'all, just little stuff that I'm like, yeah, so when she hugs, I forget who it was. I think she hugged Mark Anthony. Mm-hmm. And she lifts the leg up, the back leg, like, oh. So, yeah, it's fake energy, in my opinion. All right. Who else? Oh, Jeffrey, Tony, and Morgan are talking. Mm-hmm. And again, that's an interesting connection as far as them being friends.
Mm-hmm. And Jeffrey sees Tony come in.
She does voiceovers.
Shut up.
Listen, let us find out Jeffrey B doing voiceovers for like Sesame Street and Nickelodeon.
And so she asks Tony, I want a man's opinion, because I got two men. And Tony, again.
Tell me who. We want to know.
Right. And I'm like, okay, Tony. And so supposedly he's given all this wisdom. Mm-hmm. And she's just so shy about having to choose between two and the hurt she may cause them. And Morgan's like looking at Tony like, but you can't give me the grace for, I got two right now. You can't give the grace for that. Morgan's like, I don't want to hear it.
She's like, you got great advice for everybody else except your own self. You're not listening to anything you saying about yourself.
At all.
And then Tony's, because she says that Tony, it can be a hothead and is scaring Morgan, right? And then Tony says that Lyndon, he's not really worried about Lyndon, and Lyndon's not a threat.
Then what's the problem? What's the energy for? If he's not a threat, then why are you acting the way you're acting?
Because he is a threat. Because the alpha male.
Well, and he tells her, you don't have a connection with her. I don't even know why you still saying that there's two connections. You heard him say that to her. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't even know why you just keeping him around like this.
Yeah.
I was like, she have all right to say she has a connection and that she hasn't made a decision.
Yeah.
But he was like, why don't you just go ahead and make your decision? I'm like, dude, you should see red. Now, this is where we consider a red flag should come in. We talk about how people may be overusing the term, but I feel like this is a great reason to say this is a red flag.
I mean, well, let's just be honest. First of all, Morgan has thrown enough red flags for any guy that's there, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. If you throw nair in my hair because you're over it and you think I cheated and all that stuff, let me see. If I find out that you did that to another guy, mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I ain't got nothing else to say with you. That's a red flag for me, right? So she's been throwing enough red flags. This entire thing for Tony, to me, has been showing red flags for Morgan and any other lady. I
believe so.
So, and I'd be interested. I don't know if Marcia is watching. I know she watched a couple of our recaps. Mm-hmm. But I'd be interested in talking with Marcia to see what her thoughts are based upon what we've seen. Now, granted, she knows him in real life and they probably have had other conversations with me, but I'd be interested to hear what her thoughts are concerning what we're seeing. So that's just me. So dinner with everybody. And Linda's like, let me get this grenade ready.
Okay.
And toss it on the table. He literally was like, so, Tony, we got somebody that one of the ladies got to go home. So, Tony, who you sending home?
Tony, that's what the ladies call him.
Pretty Tony was what they call him.
Ooh.
Yeah, I might have to check that out.
Mm.
So, but yeah, so Tony was essentially like, Morgan's my number one, what have you. That's who I'm going to be with. That's my person. And Linda's like, interesting. What if Marcia was here? What would your thoughts be then?
And Sue-Ann like, motion to dismiss.
Listen, Sue-Ann was trying to advocate right then and there. She's like, I object. Hearsay. Badgering the witness. Sidebar, Your Honor.
Okay. But the fire was already lit.
It was lit. But then Tony tried to throw some questions back. He was like, so how does it feel that I done kissed her like 49 times? How's it feel that you ain't even gotten the at bat and I'm already at third base? How does that feel? And Linda was like,
I got something in my pocket for you.
Like, okay, that grenade didn't work.
Right.
Let me go ahead and press this button on this nuclear weapon right here. He was like, so how do you feel about when you told me that if Marcia was still here, I could have Morgan?
Right.
How would you feel? How you feel about that?
Right. Oh my God. So that's when Morgan's like, hello, I'm here. Hello, I'm at the table. Y'all talking like I'm not here. So she's like, forget y'all.
Because she gets up because they start talking about her, over her, and not really either one engaging her,
right.
Or they're and really just based upon how it was presented. Morgan could feel justified in feeling like they were passing her around like a piece of meat.
That she was an object.
That she was just an object that they were fighting over, like kids fight over a toy, right? Like two dogs fight over a bone, right? That's kind of how she probably was justified in feeling.
Yeah.
So she got up, went around from the table. Tony did say that he did say that, and he was angry, tried to justify his saying it.
And Lyndon went in and checked on her, right? He's like, hey, I apologize. It got out of hand. It's two men in there, and we were acting fool. So,
right.
So he apologizes and leaves them alone. Because Cynthia is the one saying, you need to be checking any person who treat the way they treat you when they're mad. You need to be concerned about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Cynthia told Morgan to consider how a man treats you when he's angry. They may walk away from the show together, but the relationship won't be long lasting. I completely agree.
Exactly.
I completely agree.
Exactly.
That is great information. How they treat you when they're angry. If I call you all kinds of names when I'm angry,
right,
that may be partly of how I really feel.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So yeah, you want someone that, we've gotten angry with each other.
Yeah.
But we've never called each other out of names.
Yes.
We never have denigrated each other or anything of that nature. So how you treat a person when you're angry? Yeah, that's why the fact that she's contemplating taking Tony back says so much. Yeah, and this is why I think that they may be perfect for each other.
Perfect, imperfect.
I think that Morgan and Tony may be perfect for each other, and I think the rest of Miami will be grateful if they stay together.
They're not going to stay together.
I say that because I don't know. There are some people that you don't want out dating in the wild, if you will. So if you have those two linked up,
I hear that, but at the same time, Morgan needs to really come to her senses. Hopefully she learned from her ways to realize she doesn't need to be any more toxic relationships. And so this is a great opportunity to change that narrative.
But is she really changing that narrative if she kind of celebrates and laughs and ha-has at the fact that she did put nair in brother's hair? Listen, if I did something in a previous relationship and I messed up and I regret it, I'm going to talk about it in a way that shows that I'm not proud of it.
I hear you.
She's still celebrating the fact and giving excuses for the fact that she did that.
I hear you.
So her toxicity, I don't think is in the past. I think it's still very much present for her.
I hear you.
I think it still very much is how she operates. And the fact that Tony is showing his way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it could be one way or the other. It's going to be an issue for them.
You're going to say they deserve each other.
They deserve each other. Yes, they are the perfect toxic couple as far as what we're seeing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Granted. Okay.
Yep. So we're coming to deliberation.
Well,
right?
We got to talk about Andre and Jeffrey though too.
Oh, in the hot tub.
Yes.
Isn't not much to talk about.
Go ahead.
Other than she says that my goal was only to put my feet in the hot tub. And then he asks her, how are you feeling? And the first thing comes to mind was wet. That's all she could think of. He's like, no, I'm not talking about like feeling like physically. I'm talking about emotionally how you're feeling. And when he starts talking about elimination, that's all when she decided, I got to get in this hot tub to keep my spot. That's how it came off to me.
No, you're absolutely, because I made that in my notes here. I said that he kind of manipulated her into getting into the jacuzzi because she was just content to just sit there. Mm-hmm. And she was like, you're so far away. And he starts talking about, hey, elimination's coming up. We got to make some choices, and
we got to make some decisions.
We got to make some.
And if we got to make these decisions, and
we got to make some decisions with his feather waving in the back there. We got to make some decisions here.
All of a sudden, she decides
to hop in the
hot tub
with her leggings on.
I was just like, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
Which again goes to what I forgot who it was said earlier, fake feminine energy. Just she's trying to gift another man with a baby, just like she gifted the previous one who she had to file child support on, who doesn't want to do anything with her. But okay.
Anyway, I was just like, and then her whole conversation with, the side conversation that she has with the producers, like, I don't know who kissed who first. It just happened.
His lips were built on mine.
I was like, what? I was like, all right, okay, we're done here.
So then before we get deliberation, also, Tony does go talk to Morgan.
Yes, he does.
And
supposedly apologizing.
Yes, he's like, men say a lot of things. People do say a lot of things, men and women. We say a lot of things. But typically, mature people, and I say mature because it really doesn't have, I'm not talking about age-wise. I'm talking about emotionally mature. I'm talking about mentally mature, all of those things. Mature people typically mean what they say. Mm-hmm. Or at least you hope they do, right? So it's not an excuse to say, well, I didn't really mean it. That's, to me, is not an excuse when you're saying that you're basically telling her, someone else, I can pass her around. If I get this one, you can have that one.
Right. Like you have the ability to do that.
Right. As if she has no choice in it.
They have no choice. And my thing is this, Morgan says, I want someone that's going to mean what they say. This is the second one. This should have been no question. Only thing you have to do this is one time to me. So when you're talking to another man and telling him that if Marcia was here, you would be with her. And now you're telling me you didn't mean it? No, bro.
That don't fly.
You might as well go ahead and eliminate yourself and be with Marcia.
That don't fly.
Let's just go there.
That don't fly.
Let's just go there.
Because he does say he's like Lyndon's conniving. Lyndon did kind of, like I said, he did kind of throw the grenade in there. He did kind of like, look, let me see if I can blow up Tony's spot, because Tony getting upset every time I'm around Morgan. So let me just go ahead and do this.
Because he felt like he was manipulated.
Yes. But he also brings up, you entertained this guy in front of me. And Morgan's like, how do you think I felt when you entertained Marcia in front of me? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's part of this process. This whole process is that you date multiple people to find the person that you're ready to love.
And to be honest, at least she was able to handle herself.
Yes.
Let's give her the credit for that. That even though there was another woman, and I'm gonna even take it back just a tad bit, because she would be telling Tony, like, you need to get rid of her. She was saying stuff like that.
Yes.
So she can't, she can't feel herself.
She wasn't being as aggressive as Tony was.
She was being aggressive to Tony about it.
Okay.
Now, not in front of Marcia though.
True.
But when they were alone,
that's true.
She was making her point very clear that she wanted Tony to herself.
Yeah.
So
he says men say things they don't mean. And he says, now, he says, any man can contest to that. Any man can contest to that. Now, Tony doesn't evidently know the meaning of contest. And what he was trying to say is that any man can attest to that. So the fact that he's saying any man can contest to that, yes, I agree with you, Tony. I contest the fact that men say just anything. I contest that fact. I come against that idea. I cannot attest to that. Okay? All right. Sorry. That's your
Sesame Street lesson for today.
Yes. That's your grammar lesson for today.
Oh my God.
So Tommy comes in. He's like, ladies, y'all go out on the balcony, out on the patio. Brothers got to talk. And he's just like, okay, who's still there? You got Tony saying, and Lyndon both are like, our only connection is Morgan. Blake's only connection is Sue. Anthony is like, I've got Cynthia and Mercedes. Andre only has Jeffrey. He's like, because he doesn't like the fact that it wasn't Mercedes.
But Andre has Cynthia too.
Oh, and Cynthia, but he only really mentioned Jeffrey.
Yeah, he did.
He only really mentioned Jeffrey. And he said, and he still has an issue with Mercedes because she didn't call him when he was out sick with COVID and off the show.
Okay.
And then Mark Anthony says that he's just got Mercedes. Then as far as who folks aren't feeling, basically Morgan with Anthony's like he's not feeling Morgan. Blake is still salty with Jeffrey. He's like, I want nothing to do with her. Andre basically mentioned Sue-Ann and Mercedes. Mark Anthony mentioned Sue-Ann. Tony mentioned Sue-Ann and Mercedes, and Lyndon mentioned Sue-Ann and Mercedes. So we find Mercedes and Sue-Ann in the bottom two.
Yeah. I think Sue-Ann's going home. And someone mentioned in a comment, I think it's Sue-Ann.
I think that I have a feeling it's Sue-Ann, but yeah, because Sue-Ann's only connection is Blake.
And Blake's outnumbered at this point.
But Mercedes is at least on two radars. She's on Anthony's radar and Mark Anthony's radar. So yeah, I think Sue-Ann will be going home. I think that she will probably be working on the court case that she's working on with what's his name?
Yeah, with Ben Crump.
With Ben Crump. So I think Sue-Ann's days are done. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think they're going to. I think Blake's going to leave with her.
You think Blake's going to do that?
He should.
He absolutely should.
Because there's nobody else there.
There's not.
And he don't seem like, so far, he don't seem like the person to just hang around just to be hanging around. Because the way he's been talking to the ladies when he was on them dates.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, Sue, I'm going to take.
So it is possible that Blake will, if Sue-Ann does leave, I could see Blake self-eliminating and going home because there's nothing else for him, right? There's not any possible or potential relationships that he could come in, swoop in the last moment, at least as far as what we've seen. And I don't know that it wouldn't work well.
No, because he doesn't even transition well. So once she's gone, it was like he probably like, there's no reason for me to be around here.
Yeah. So that's what we think. Y'all let us know, because in the trailer it looks like Morgan is at least, well, a couple of things we saw in the trailer is that Morgan does seem to be giving what's his name a little more action, a little more attention, giving Lyndon a little more attention. Now what was funny in the trailer was that I don't know, Morgan and Lyndon were interacting, and you see Tony like a little 3-year-old kid throwing steak on the grill, all mad, like. So we'll see how that plays. But she's also saying that she wants to give Tony some opportunity to redeem himself,
to clean up his mess.
Listen, again, I say now, if Morgan did not have her own red flags, I'd say, Morgan, leave Tony alone.
Right.
But because, again, I think Morgan has her own issues and Tony's issues are starting to come to the fore, I think they may be a perfect match to just go ahead and keep the rest of Miami safe, so nobody else has to deal with either one of them.
So I'm thinking
Mercedes.
Yeah.
I could. I think Mercedes is kind of on that chopping block because Mark Anthony. I don't know that Mark Anthony knows what he really wants right now.
Right.
I think Mark Anthony is kind of coasting through. And then Anthony, in my opinion, the better fit for him sounds like Cynthia. Not saying that Mercedes is a horrible choice or anything like that. I think Mercedes is a great choice. I just don't know that she's finding her great choice here.
Yeah. And then they were talking about Morgan's using Lyndon. I think she likes it that Tony.
She likes him fighting for her. Yes.
Even though she's playing coy about it, but that she likes it.
I can agree with that. Yes. I think that's the other thing, that yes, she is using that whole thing to feel wanted by Tony. I think that's why all this, I think, works well together, because I think that it's given her the ego boost, if you will, of he really, really wants me because he's willing to fight for me. He's willing to get angry over me. So even though she's saying she doesn't particularly care for it, I think subconsciously,
right,
it's feeding her ego.
Yeah. And Mercedes is there for Mark Anthony. Mercedes did say that Mark Anthony is the top choice.
That is her top choice, but I don't think, again, I think, and that's the only choice that Mark Anthony has mentioned, except for, he does say Jeffrey, but Jeffrey and Andre are so.
Well, and one thing I don't understand about Mercedes, she was like, well, Anthony, he has a family, he has a house, and I don't have those things that, well, typically, sometimes, even if you start with someone who doesn't have it, at some point you're going to have those things.
Right.
And so is she really trying to say that maybe she's just not ready for those things?
Ready for that level of responsibility, if you will.
I hear you, but at some point you're in your 30s, right? Was she in her late 20s? She has to be in her 30s, right?
Yeah, because I don't think anybody's in their 20s in this season. I think everybody's in their 30s, mid to late 30s. So I think that now let's talk who we think are going to be the final.
Oh, who's going to be final?
The finals. So if Sue-Ann and Blake go home, then that eliminates them, right? I think that I do think that they'll probably let them go just for drama's sake, right? I think they found the new drama of the Tony, Lyndon, and
I hear that, Stacey.
Yeah,
she's not ready to be a bonus mom.
I can agree. Mercedes not ready to be the bonus mom. No, we're not still coming after Blake. No, I'm not. Like I said, you may have missed it. I actually near the beginning, I said I may have to apologize to Blake, and I gave, because the whole situation with Jeffrey and Simone and the receipts that Simone provided, I have to, I'm giving Blake a little more grace and the benefit of the doubt. I think that there's still some things that are just kind of quirky about him, if you will, is the term I'm going to use. But I think that he's probably been genuine in his own way, right?
Oh yeah, he's been being himself.
Yes.
He's been totally being himself.
So if we're talking about who's still going to be there, I think that we'll come down to the end of having who's going to show up for Morgan type situation between Tony and Lyndon. I think they'll probably let that go to the end.
Okay.
I think that
then what we have left. Then Anthony is going to end up with Cynthia.
My hope is that they do. And I think that sounds like a good fit.
And then Jeffrey and Andre are going to be.
And then if they do have a fourth one, it will be Mercedes and Mark Anthony. Yeah, because I think that's the way it's going to work out. Andre and Jeffrey, yes. Anthony and Cynthia, yes. Mark Anthony and Mercedes, Morgan and Tandan. Morgan and Tandan. So yeah, so I think that's kind of how the last 3/4 are going to work out. And then that means that the reunion is going to be very interesting. I wonder if I don't know if they've already shot the reunion.
They probably did.
Because if they have, then we'll miss out on maybe some confirmation or some confrontation regarding what some of the stuff that we've been finding out recently. But it'll always make for interesting thoughts and talk. And again, just a reminder, probably in about another 20-30 minutes from now, we'll probably do stick around because we're going to go live again for Put a Ring on It, because we're going to recap that. So if you watch Put a Ring on It, you want to make sure you're here for our live with that as well. Anything else with these? With this? So
no, because what should be coming up, I guess they got one more day, one more episode with them in the house, because then it's going to be the men's turn, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, they meet the families.
That's right.
So we only got a couple more episodes.
Marcia said it was something else, the reunion. Okay, so it's already happened. So I'm sure it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yep.
Maybe we'll get a 3-parter this time.
Oh, you think they'll go 3 parts long?
If it's enough, they might do, but definitely 2 parts should be interesting.
Okay.
So Marcia said the reunion shot already. She said there's a shocker that implies Morgan and Linder. So that implies Morgan and Linden. Hey, possible. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Listen, we appreciate y'all stopping by for this kind of impromptu live. But again, if you watch Put a Ring on It, or if you just want to kind of hear what we're talking about with the new season of Put a Ring on that starts, we'll be back probably in about another 20-25 minutes with another live for that one. And y'all, again, continue to stretch your hand towards our computer.
Just trying to get it fixed.
We just trying to get it taken care of so we can get back to really doing what we do and having the videos all nice and neat for y'all. So, all right, but these are good too. And we might do some more of these just because we like the interaction with you all and hearing your thoughts and your conspiracy theories as far as what's happening. All right, we'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed. Bye.
Bye.